Well, howdy do. It's another edition of Conversation Collage coming at you. We talk with interesting people. We talk about the things they're interested in. We come to you from the apple capital of the world and the buckle of the power belt of the great Pacific Northwest, Wenatchee, Washington. It's a nice late summer day as we are doing this. They say it's going to get to about 86 degrees today, which is about right. We're going to talk about open enrollment, which is coming up for Medicare and health insurance. That's all coming up. We'll talk with a person who knows all about that. We'll also have some thoughts about manners and something I found recently that I think might be of interest to you. But we'll start off talking about opioids and combating the opioid crisis one pill at a time. Every day, more than 100 Americans die after overdosing on opioids, including prescription pain medications. And rates of prescription drug abuse in the U.S. are alarmingly high, as are the number of accidental poisonings and overdoses due to these drugs. An estimated 16.7 million people used prescription drugs for a non-medical purpose in the last year. 80% of heroin users abused prescription drugs prior to trying heroin. Of the non-medical users, nearly 70% obtained their pills from family and friends, which is known as diversion in the opioid trade. And there are a number of other facts and statistics I can rattle off for you, but let's just say it's a problem. And to help fight this, Northwestern Medicine in Chicago has launched some innovative strategies for reducing the number of pills prescribed by surgeons and is offering patients a safe clinic-based disposal option for their unused pain medications. And we talked about this with Dr. Jonas Stolberg, the opioid stewardship lead at Northwestern Memorial Hospital, and he's director of opioid reduction efforts for the Illinois Surgical Quality Improvement Collaborative, or ISQIC. And we'll be talking about that in our interview. We talked about the drug disposal program and how he's working with hospitals across Illinois and elsewhere to implement their own opioid stewardship and disposal programs. What was the idea behind this program? We know there is an opioid epidemic here, but where did the idea for the program come from?
Sure. So we hear all the time these staggering statistics about overdose and death, but how does that directly relate to surgical care and our practice at Northwestern Medicine? So what we did was we looked into the data and the science around this, and what we found was that on average 70 to 80% of the pills that we were prescribing were unused by the intended user. And furthermore, if you were to ask those who are abusing and misusing drugs how they came about their drugs, 3 out of 4 of them will tell you that they simply borrowed them from friends and family, got them from medicine cabinets. And so there is a rather direct link between not using your opioids, prescribing too many opioids, and the harms that come with abuse and misuse. And so through that, we needed to educate ourselves. How many pills are people actually using? What number should we be giving? And how do we get rid of the pills that are already available in society? And that's where we came up with the idea, and we started pushing to integrate drug disposal and safe prescribing practices into our care practice.
So then if 70% of pills are not being used by the intended user, does that mean that those people either don't need them, or is there something else that are they finding other uses by giving them to friends and family or whatever?
No, so what that means is that when we were prescribing medications, we were focused on making sure that patients had enough pills to adequately control their pain. Because the last thing we want is for our patients to be suffering and not have appropriate pain management techniques to make sure that they are adequately controlling their pain. And so the practice, therefore, across the United States was just to give a number that should make sure that we adequately control for everyone. But there wasn't a lot of focus on, well, how many pills did each individual actually use? And when we started to focus on that, that's when we were so surprised to learn that while each individual is different and the number of pills that they use varies, most patients use very few pills after a surgical encounter. And that's what leads to that large number of unused pills in in our surgical patients' cabinets, in their purses, and just around.
Okay. All right. So then, how do you know that this drug disposal program? How do you measure its success? How do you know that it's working?
Sure. So since starting this program, we have collected more than 1,000 pounds of pills. And if you think about how light an individual pill is, that is a staggering number of pills. And furthermore, we've integrated measuring opioid use and appropriate disposal into the fabric of care. And what I mean by that is when you come in post-operatively, after your surgery, there's a conversation. How did the pain management go? What pills did you use? What did you not use? How can we improve what we do? And then we document that, collect that information across multiple people, and say, okay, now we know if you're having an inguinal hernia repair and it's performed open, here's how many pills on average people use, here's how we can improve, and then we integrate that back into the care so that the next patient's care improves because of what we've learned.
Okay. Tell me about the ISQIC, Illinois Surgical Quality Improvement Collaborative. What is that?
So that is a statewide collaborative focused on improving the quality of care for surgical practices across Illinois. It currently is 56 hospitals dedicated to quality improvement. We have practices that range from decreasing surgical site infections, decreasing blood clots, venous thromboembolisms, and reducing our reliance on opioids and learning from each other how do we best manage pain around the time of surgery while minimizing opioids and incentivizing disposal. And so we've spread many of our practices through the Illinois Surgical Quality Improvement Collaborative, and now we're spreading those nationwide to other hospitals and other collaboratives across the country.
That was my next question. As far as the drug disposal program, is that being copied by other hospitals around the country?
Absolutely. So we provide materials to physicians, to quality leaders on how do you make a program like this work, how do you integrate it into your care, and many in the healthcare industry are very focused on how do we make a difference and improve our care, and so they're learning from us and we're learning from them. And so there are many hospitals that are starting to get on board, and we encourage any of your listeners that might be affiliated with some of those hospitals to simply go to our website, learn more, and see if there's some information that you can use to improve your care.
We'll give that website out in a second, but let's talk about what people can do on themselves. That patients, they've got opioids. I think I have some opioids in my cabinet that I didn't use. As a matter of fact, I've got some that I don't need. What do I do with them? Where should I take them? How do I get rid of them?
Absolutely. So there are many programs across the country, and all of those programs are required to register with the Drug Enforcement Agency, or DEA. And because of that, we can link into their resources and we can find a location near you to get rid of the medications. When you take them to formal drug disposal locations, whether that's pharmacies, hospitals, or law enforcement agencies, those all get disposed of appropriately through incineration. We ask that individuals do not flush the medications down the toilet because they can have adverse consequences for our water supplies, but there are also other programs like mail-in programs and programs where you mix the medications with non-palatable substances, create a slurry of them so that they decrease in their potency and then are disposed of. But all that information is available on our website.
Okay. How long has this drug disposal program been going on?
So it was started in 2016 and really got into full force in early 2017. So we've been going on for more than 2 years now, and we've really learned a lot and have continued to improve our practices.
Has the success of this, has what you've learned through this, did it surprise you?
Yes, I would say I've been incredibly surprised by just how prevalent or how common of a problem this is. We don't realize just how easy it is for individuals to get these medications and other harmful medications and just sort of hold on to them. We all have had experiences where we, unfortunately end up in an emergency room or we have a surgery, and then it's easy to just keep them, hold on to them, and have them available just in case, and then you wind up with a medicine cabinet full of harmful medications.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Stolberg, I know I have to let you go. Let's get that website out. Where do people find out more?
Yes, the website is NM for Northwestern Medicine, nm.org/radio. Once again, the website is nm.org/radio.
Dr. Jonah Stolberg with Northwestern Memorial Hospital, I thank you for a few minutes out. Best to you in Chicago.
Great. Thank you so much for having me on.
Dr. Jonah Stolberg there, the opioid stewardship lead at Northwestern Memorial Hospital, a general surgeon and health services researcher at Northwestern. And we caught up with him in Chicago, Illinois. Conversation Collage available on all your favorite podcast platforms. Of course, if you're listening to this, you probably have one. So keep checking in, okay, as we do these every week at least. And we would love to have you continue to be a part of it. And tell your friends, please, won't you? And also go to our Facebook page, Conversation Collage Podcast. We have a page there, and we would love you to join that and like it. And also we're on Instagram and YouTube and, gosh, all over the place. Twice a week in my email, I get something called the LBN Examiner. It is something from a publicist who started this many years ago. It was a daily thing known as Levine Breaking News, and it is now known as the LBN Examiner. And you can sign up for it if you want. You can go to lbnexaminer.com and sign up. It used to be a daily. It now comes twice a week. It comes on Wednesday and Sunday. But on Monday, Labor Day, lo and behold, I found a special report from LBN Examiner, and what it was a commentary from Peggy Noonan. Now, I know some people have some problems with Peggy Noonan, but I find her to be a very smart, well-spoken, and well-written lady. And she wrote a commentary which I think needs to be repeated. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but there are a few points that she makes that I think really need to be stressed. And from here on, I'm quoting Peggy Noonan. You have all become very rude, not from ignorance, as Americans were in the past, but from indifference and amid affluence. In your daily dealings, you have grown slovenly, indifferent, and cold. A great nation cannot continue in this way. Nations run in part on manners. They are the lubricant that allows the great machine to hum. Among the harassments I see you inflict on each other, it is discourteous to walk down a busy sidewalk with your eyes trained on a cell phone, barreling forward with disregard for others who must carefully make way and negotiate their bodies around yours so as not to harm you. You must think you are more important than the other citizens of the sidewalk. Who told you this? Eyes on a phone and pods in your ears, have you no sense of community? You have detached from the reality around you, which is a subtle rebuff of your fellow citizens. You enter your own world. You must have a sense of community. Take part, be part, see and hear. Share responsibility. Stop assuming everyone will work their way around you. That is the summoning of a calamity you will deserve. You must come to understand that other people can hear you on the cell phone in confined public spaces, such as the elevator. You must come to understand other people have a right not to hear your sound. They have a right not to hear your grating voice, your huffy exchanges that convey the banality of your interests, all of which, on a bad day when spirits are low, can make those around you want to ruffle in their purse for a pistol with which to shoot themselves in the head. It might be better if you were instead there, to make brief eye contact and nod as if you were human beings on Earth together. At the very least, understand you should delay the call until the elevator doors open. You have apparently forgotten that excuse me is a request, not a command. Excuse me is an abbreviated question. Would you excuse me, please? Thank you. All in a soft voice. It is not a command to be barked as you push down the aisle at Walgreens. There is the matter of no problem. You perform a small courtesy. I thank you. You reply, no problem, which implies, if it were a problem, I wouldn't do it. If it were at all challenging, I would never be courteous. Why would you admit this to a fellow citizen? Why demoralize him or her in this way? Similarly, with no worries. A young person emails and asks me to do something, perhaps attend an event. I reply carefully, with gratitude and honest regret that I am unable. The response? 2 words. No worries. I'm tempted to answer, "You don't worry me, dearie." Of course I don't. It would be like slapping the maid.